So in this video we're doing what's called solving a right triangle, and solving a right triangle just means we're finding all the missing angles and all the missing sides, and we're going to do that by using Pythagorean theorem if need be, and those 6 right triangle ratios that we just talked about in the previous video. So let's go get started. We want to solve triangle ABC. This is a right triangle, so go ahead and put that there, fill in your picture if you need to. Alright, let's go ahead and figure out, let's label our picture. So since we know angle B is the right triangle, or sorry, it's the right angle, that means C has to be the hypotenuse. We always base the opposite and adjacent based on the angle that we're given. So since we're given 19 degrees, that means A is going to be the opposite, and B is going to be the adjacent. Now we're ready to start doing stuff. So what I'm going to do is first use the information that's given to me. I'm given the angle theta, and I'm giving side B, the adjacent. So I want to think about what trig ratios use adjacent. Well, I know the cosine uses hypotenuse over, or sorry, the cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So cosine theta is adjacent over hypotenuse. And what I'm going to do is literally just plug in what I know and solve for what I don't know. Alright, so I know cosine of 19, because that's what my angle is equal to the adjacent, which was 13 over the hypotenuse. Alright, well I want to get hypotenuse by itself, so what I need to do is actually, I want to kill this fraction, so I want to multiply by whatever's on the bottom. So that's, in this case, the hypotenuse. So I'm going to multiply by hypotenuse on each side. Okay, so just think of the hypotenuse as your variable that you're solving for. Okay, and now what's happening is hypotenuse and hypotenuse cancel each other out, so I'm left with the hypotenuse times the cosine of 19 is equal to 13. But I still want to get hypotenuse by itself, so what I'm going to do now is divide by the cosine of 19 on both sides. Cosine of 19 is just going to be a decimal. It's going to be a really ugly decimal, so you can go ahead and turn that into a decimal if you want. I'm going to leave it as a cosine of 19 for right now and round at the end. That way I'm as exact, as close to the true exact answer as possible. So cosine of 19 and cosine of 19 cancel out, so I just have the hypotenuse is equal to 13 over cosine 19. Now I'm going to type this in my calculator exactly the way it is. Okay, since it's a fraction, I want to be sure to put it in parentheses when I do type it in, so let's do that. Also, you might have noticed, real quick, that your angle is in degrees. So on your calculator, before you do anything with these right triangle ratios, you want to hit the mode button. That's very important because your calculator can measure angles in radians or degrees, 2 different ways. And we'll talk about radians later on in this chapter. Right now we're measuring our angle in degrees, so if the calculator gives us the correct answer, we want to make sure we're in degree mode. So be sure you select degree mode. Now we're ready to go. So the hypotenuse is 13 divided by cosine of 19. Close that parenthesis. And so the hypotenuse is approximately 13.75. I'm going to round to 2 decimal places. Okay, great. So I'm going to fill in my picture. We also want to find the opposite. Now, I could do Pythagorean theorem if I wanted to because I have 2 sides of a right triangle, but I'm going to practice and use, alright, well, what uses the adjacent and the opposite? Again, I'm using adjacent because that's what's given to me. I could use hypotenuse, however, remember I rounded, so it's always best to use the information that's given. So adjacent and opposite. Well, that's tangent. Just do that scratch work over here. So the tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent. Again, I want to plug in what I know. So I know I have the tangent of 19 degrees is equal to the opposite all over the adjacent 13. I'm trying to get opposite by itself. Again, opposite's like that variable I'm solving for. So to do that, I'm going to multiply by 13 on each side. Alright, so the 13s are going to cancel out here, and I'm just left with 13 times the tangent of 19 is equal to the opposite. Alright, well now, again, tangent of 19 is just a really nasty decimal, so what I'm going to do is type this in my calculator. Again, 19 is in degrees, so you want to just double check you're in degree mode. Again, you just hit mode. I'm still in degree mode, so everything's good. So 13 times the tangent of 19 is 4.476. All right, and I'm going to round that to two decimal places, so I'm going to call it 4.48. So the opposite is about 4.48. Again, I'm going to fill in my picture. Kind of messy because I have all my scratch work all over the place. Try to be organized with your scratch work. And then finally, the last piece of solving the triangle is we want to find this angle right here. Well, in any triangle, it doesn't matter if it's a right, obtuse, or acute triangle. In any triangle, all the angles add up to 180. So I'm just going to say 180 minus the two angles I already know. So minus 19 and minus 90. And that's going to give me angle C that I don't know yet. I'm going to do this in my calculator. Could do it in my head, but you know, why not? Why not use a calculator if we had that available? So 71. So the missing angle that we need is 71. Okay? Now, again, all of our scratch work's all over the place. It's probably best if we are organized with this. So let's be a little bit organized. So here's, I'm going to put my answers. Make sure it's easy to find. Again, you labeled your picture, but let's just do this part real quick. So I had to find side A. That was 4.48. I had to find side C. That was 13.75. And I had to find angle C, which we just saw was 71. So these are my answers. Okay? You always want to be as organized as possible. Okay? Now, lots of scratch work here. Try to be organized, but hopefully you'll agree that the scratch work wasn't too bad. And that's it for this video. Again, solving a triangle just means to find all the missing angles and find all the missing sides by whatever means necessary.